What's going on, everybody? It is another episode of MLS Monday here with Scarves and Spikes. It is Tyler Pilgrim here alongside Sydney and Tommy with a pretty fire new intro. Sydney, that was good stuff.
Yeah, just tweaked it a little bit.
I like it.
I have to kind of give a disclaimer. I didn't really design. Most of it was just kind of templates. I just filled in the blanks, but
take the credit, man. Take the win.
But
no, we got a busy episode. It was a busy weekend in MLS, but we have Atlanta to talk about first. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about Atlanta versus Montreal, going a little bit into the show. We'll have Ty Fisher from the Wise Men Say podcast up in Columbus here to chat with us here in a little bit. But diving into it really quick, we have obviously scarvesandspikes.com. You guys know the drill. Go there, get all your latest Atlanta United content and everything else that's going on. Go to the store, get you guys a beer glass, something to drink out of, something to wear, etc.
Yeah.
And go join the Patreon. We had a really fun watch along for the last game. It was a good time. Everybody's hanging out. Go join that and join the Discord, but it's patreon.com/scarves and spikes. So
yeah, before we get going here, just a reminder, Atlanta United fans, you can win an exclusive experience at Children's Healthcare Atlanta Training Ground, including official kits, player appearances, and more with the American Family Insurance Camp United sweepstakes. Visit amfam.com/United to enter, and we will put the link in the chat as well as in the comments, the description. So yeah, amfam.com/United to enter that contest.
It's free to enter. Tommy, you're muted like crazy. Like
no, I was just whispering American Family Insurance. I'm not. I was told I was not allowed to sing the song anymore. Well, I wasn't told, but Sydney's eyes when he looked at me.
Do it
when I did it on the last thing.
Sing it. Just sing it.
American Family Insurance.
that's sponsorship.
I was a terrible singer. I was in choir.
Yeah.
I was Joseph though. I was Joseph in the nativity thing. I was terrible.
Wow. That was when
everybody laughed. Yeah. Well, I was in puberty at the time. Like, it was just like squeaky. Okay.
All right. Anyway, we got a busy week, so we're going to be obviously we have MLS Monday tonight. We will have our pre-match and post-match shows on Wednesday for the Montreal game, and Thursday we'll be back again for our preview of. God, who are they playing? Red Bulls on Thursday.
Bulls. They took a major L on Saturday. We'll talk about that a little bit later on.
They did.
Spoilers, jeez.
Tommy, you're going to be here. What you got going on?
I'm flying out Wednesday morning, so I'm not working. I'll be drinking. So come over. I think we're going to start at the Signia. Have some drinks over at the Signia. So shoot us a message if you're stopping by, but we'll be around there. And then probably hit the backyard for a little bit. See some friends, and then head into the stadium. So if you're around, shoot me a message. I'd love to come around and meet everyone. If I haven't met you, or if not, just meet you at a bar and grab a drink. And then,
for sure.
Then Falcons game on Thursday.
Tommy's coming down here for both.
Nice.
All right,
it was a good couple of days for Atlanta sports.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
I mean, you got a draw, which spoiler. I guess we'll get to that. Then you had the Falcons win, and then. The Braves are about 3 outs away. 3 outs away from making the playoffs.
It's getting close.
Took a little longer than expected.
Give live updates.
Yeah.
I'll interrupt when they clinch.
Yes,
right.
All right, Atlanta United.
By the way, but
Brad Guzan again. I'm sorry, I'm just diving straight into it. Atlanta United. They go up, they do their thing, they play a better game. I think everybody can agree that they played probably in a way, and I put it in the article on the website. The team played in a way that you probably would have been okay with 2 or 3 months ago. It wasn't great, but you went up and you stopped a very hot team from running all over you. You came from behind, you did the job. But a point at this point in the season just isn't enough. So I guess starting off, what are y'all's overall thoughts?
Yeah, I talked about it on our 3 takeaways. Tommy was there too. It's just another missed opportunity. Atlanta United, had to win this match, and I just hate, these discussions because I feel like Tommy, you said it. We're just talking about the same things over and over again. I just don't know what else to say right now. Like Atlanta had to win, and they didn't, and they more or less were essentially outplayed by the Union. You look at the shots on goal, you look at the total shots. Yeah, they led in XG, I think, but just by and large, the Union really controlled that match. I think Atlanta United were quite fortunate to get that goal from Saba to keep this from being lost. Now, that being said, going into Wednesday, and we'll talk about it a little bit more, going into Wednesday, you can't be eliminated from the playoffs with a loss or anything like that, but that kind of puts you on a tightrope where you have to win. You have to get a win on Wednesday. And again, I just don't know what else to say. It's just the same thing over and over again. What was that?
That was not me. I muted.
Carry on.
No, I was so.
I'm not the die over here.
That was my point.
Tommy, what you got, buddy?
Braves won. Braves are in the playoffs.
Yay! That was the Braves alarm, is what it was.
Yeah. Yeah, like Sydney said, it's Groundhog Day. It's frustrating when you like a team so much and you get to this point where it's just like you're reliving the same conversations over and over. And I'm just ready for change at this point. But when you get to the game, I mean, they fought, right? I mean, they had opportunities. I mean, Saba's goal was nice. It's nice to see Saba get his goals, right? Like there's expectations that hopefully going through into next season that you can continue, Saba can continue scoring and hopefully get him some help. Marinchuk is, I like him. I do. People on Spaces, have been saying like, he's not flashy, right? And I guess my thing is like, is it the talent around him? Is it just getting used to the team, all of that? I think we're going to see why they paid Marinchuk next season. I do. I think a new manager, new players around him, obviously a better striker around him, and someone on the left. I think we'll have a good opportunity here. But yeah, I mean, there were points in the game where I just thought Atlanta just wasn't aggressive enough on turning the ball and moving forward. Like there was a part like at the end, I think it was in stoppage, where like Guzan got the ball and he was just kind of like standing there with it. And it's like, no, dude, you got to move. Like I understand, like you should be treating this like if you don't win this game, you're not in the playoffs. At least create an opportunity. And it ended up not happening. And right. I don't know. It's you got to win. The game's coming up here. You've got to win. You got 2 more games at home, right? 2 games at home. Can you show the fans, give them a glimpse of something to look forward to next year? Now, again, you could still make the playing game, which would be fun. I think it'd be fun to be able to watch one extra game. But maybe. You
don't consider the playoffs though, by the way.
Yeah, it's the playing game, whatever. Like it's fun to be able to watch something like that. But I just need to see more from some of these guys. And, I mean, we talked about it in Space, and we talked about it before. Henry said it a lot. Like, it just doesn't seem like these guys have any chemistry at all.
Yeah.
And it's just weird. It's just weird to me because some of them have been around here for a long time. But you've seen this frustration. Like, I went back and looked because I thought it was crazy. I went back and listened to one of our old shows. The first game I was at, so that was the home opener, I made a comment that like Brooks was getting very frustrated and just in general with like how Gregerson was getting the ball and like he didn't want it in the right space. I said, okay, well that'll clean up, right? By the end of the year, these guys will be knowing where they're going. And yeah, it never did at all. And like I saw a couple of times where Brooks was getting upset with like that the ball wasn't going where he wanted it. And like it made me like I had that flashback. I was like, I know I said this for a game I was at, and I went back and watched. It was exactly what it was. It's frustrating here, and that's it's why I just keep advocating like a new manager, hopefully across the board, can hopefully do something to get these guys working together better.
I see Omer's in the chat saying Miranchuk is worrying, but how much of that is what we were just talking about? Like, just the chemistry isn't there with the team. Like, you don't have a legitimate striker, with all due respect to TRA and Rios, who are doing really what they can. But I'm just curious why Omer thinks that. I disagree. I don't think he's worrying at all. I mean, Tommy, give him next year. Go ahead.
MLS Soccer had an article that mentioned Miranchuk and essentially said that, while he's doing okay, he's not been a game changer like you would expect out of the price that you paid. And I mean, that's a question for the, I'm kind of curious to the chat as well, but like, I mean, how fair is it to judge a guy who you paid tons of money for to come into the team and be an absolute game changer? I think we've seen it with a lot of teams, right? Like San Jose has a couple of really good players. Two people don't win a soccer game.
Yeah.
I do think you had players in the past for Atlanta who tend to be flashier. They tend to sometimes be able to pick the game up on their back, and sometimes it's been successful, sometimes it hasn't. But at the end of the day, but at the end of the day, like, the team hasn't really made any kind of serious run to anything since before COVID. And so for everything Almada's done, everything, Giacomakis to a degree has done, everything that Marcelino Moreno has done, all these guys, you have to have a whole team. And so Alexei Miranchuk, yeah, I mean, I think you can't judge him for a long time, really, like, overall. I think with the right team around him, with the right guys, this is my opinion, I think he'll be kind of the key that unlocks everybody else when you have everybody else who plays at a level that he's used to.
We hope.
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, nobody knows. I just think you can't, like that article on MLS Soccer, I get it, but when you look at what he has around him, I mean, you were saying, like, what he has around him is just not putting the ball in the back of the net.
I'm trying not to be mean here, but it's just, you're lacking talent, right? I mean, Talbot has 0 goals this year. 0 goals. Silva, not much better. By the way, I don't know if we ever see Silva again this season.
Not this season. I doubt it.
You think he just gets shut down the rest of the year? I mean, why risk it? Because what if the last 3 matches don't mean anything at the end of the day?
I mean, yeah. I mean, depending on what happens in this one, for sure. I mean, he's definitely not available. But yeah, I mean, I think he just gets shut down there. And the question is, do you see him again next year? That'll be an interesting thing to see if they even bring him back. I mean, there's multiple ways that you could potentially move on from him. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I understand people's fears about him because you paid that much money, right? The dollar signs equal play, right? Like, that's how people think of it. It's like, oh, like if you're playing EAFC and you're like, oh, I'm paying this much for this dude, this guy's gonna be great.
$20 million,
right? Yeah, all these stars, right? And then he's gonna be great. And then he comes in and he's not doing anything insanely impressive. You go, okay, well, when's he gonna start doing those kicks that Almada does? Right? When's he gonna do that fancy stuff? And then it just hasn't happened yet. And people are getting worried, and it's just, you got to wait until everything gets put together here, that you bring more DPs, you solidify your midfield a little bit better here. I mean, you could put the best player on a bad team and it doesn't all of a sudden make them better. This isn't basketball, right? Where you just add one great player and then all of a sudden it gets there. It's a team sport, right? It's a full team sport. And unfortunately, he can't raise the star level of all the players around him.
Look at Miami's recent results. I mean, they got the best player in the world playing for them and getting significant time, but that doesn't mean anything if you're not winning your games. I mean, you've had some draws recently that you probably should have won, and that's just how it is.
So let me ask you guys this: are fans putting Miranchuk, judging him at an unfair standard? I mean, Almada was in a class of his own. Is it that some fans are judging them? And Omer, by no means am I saying you are, but are fans expecting him to be the next Almada? Because he's not the next Almada. I don't think he's the next Almada. Almada is a different skill set, a different player than Miranchuk does, and Miranchuk is. But at the same time, he's being expected to do a lot as it is to really elevate this attack. But at the same time, I think it's unfair to judge him against what Almada did during his time here. So I think in that lens, look at him from a different lens than Almada. I think there has been flashes of greatness. We saw it against Miami, that really terrific goal that he scored. But, I would like to see him with a preseason under his belt with Atlanta United to really gel with whoever comes in. And I think, as Tommy says, it's going to be a much different team next year. And like you're saying, Tyler, once he gets acclimated with the new signings, I think it's going to be a totally different story. Hopefully, but I would hedge my bets toward that happening. I really would.
And I understand the worry. I do. I think, especially Atlanta fans, and this is not in any way saying anything negative. The number 10s, the type of number 10s that this team has had over the years, and the type of like quote unquote star players that this team has had over the years, like Alexei Miranchuk doesn't fit into that mold. He's just a different guy. He's not one that's, incredibly fast. He's not one that's, going to go dribble around a million people, but he is confident in the ball. He's got a left foot for the ages, for sure. He's a playmaker, plain and simple. And if you can get the right guys around him, I think it'll elevate everything. Joe saying Pedro Amador has been good. 100%. Pedro Amador has been a warrior. I totally agree. And here, as we get ready to get Ty in, quick thoughts about Brad Guzan. Still MVP.
Sure.
You do the option, like at this point, that it's 40. Like
team MVP. Let's just make sure we get it straight.
No,
team MVP.
Yeah, I'm not saying league.
No.
Or even conference, but
we said it last week. We'll say it again. Like, never ever in February would have I ever thought like we'd be talking about, picking up the option for Brad Guzan, right? Like, just never considered it. Like, you saw Cohen come in and in the offseason, you're like, okay, Cohen's the guy right next year. And then the Fountain of Youth happens, and now you've got to make that hard decision on this, right? I hope it's a little bit more of a team-friendly deal if they do it, right? Like, hey, Brad, like, we're really trying to get you one, right? We're trying to get you, a really good team to play behind. I don't know.
I mean, Brian saying Guzan has played the key role in keeping this team from winning.
No, agreed.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
He's the only leader on this team. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know what happens behind the scenes, but on the field, he's the guy that's acting like a leader. When someone gets shoved down, he did it again. He did it again in this game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where someone gets taken out.
Patreon thing, like screaming, like, why is he the only one?
He gets right in that guy's face. Right?
Yeah.
Like, when Brad's coming towards you, you see your reflection in his head. You know he's upset, right? When you see your reflection in Brad's forehead, you're like, oh,
yeah,
shit's about to go down, and it does. But there's no backup, right? What's the ducks thing? Ducks fly together. I mean, it's right now. It's Brad flying solo on these situations, and it's frustrating to see that. Like, and we'll talk to Ty here in a minute. But like, when you see things happen to the crew, when you watch those games, they're all united, and that includes Nancy. That includes everyone on there. They're a well-knit team, and that's why they have a very good chance of winning MLS Cup again.
So Omer's saying in the chat, either Guzan for MVP or Saba, for MVP. But I think I agree with Brian's comment earlier. Guzan single-handedly has been, because situationally, you look at a few of Saba's goals, maybe they weren't match winners or anything like that. Like against Philly, certainly the match time goal pretty much single-handedly beat Miami away. But I think Brad for sure.
he's missed a lot of opportunities. I think that's the one thing that maybe Saba has, is that he's gone through some real cold streaks where a lot of those goals are scorable and they weren't coming in. So that's, I mean, he could probably have at least 3 or 4 more goals.
Oh, for sure.
100%. But there was like a large part of that season where it was just, he was cold. He couldn't get him that. Had the chances, sure. And again, respect to a lot of these guys that are still able to create chances when you're lacking, a great team behind you.
Yeah, exactly.
And people really hate on Saba too. Like there's a group of them. All right, and quite a few of them are Aruju fans. Okay, they're the Aruju defenders. If they're in here, I'm sure they'll be in the chat in a moment. But they're like, oh well, Saba's just the same as Aruju. I don't see that.
No.
There are the occasional games where Saba disappears.
No chance.
But I don't find that. And Aruju's doing pretty well, from my understanding, because I see those people retweet all.
Hey, when was the last time Aruju
things.
came in and scored a header goal?
Right.
But I don't put those two in the same bracket at all.
I don't either.
No.
So my final thought is we bring Ty in on Brad. The most legendary thing this man could ever do if he is dead set on I'm staying with Atlanta for the last year. I don't know if it's in his contract. I don't know that he's got a no trade clause, but leave him unprotected in the expansion draft for San Diego. And then if he does get picked up, immediately retire. Let that be the decision. This man will be a legend in my eyes for the rest of eternity.
I mean, San Diego is a nice destination. Like, I'm not giving Atlanta United's front office any ideas, but that would be funny.
I'm just saying that'd be like
people were upset though when they protected him.
I remember
in that expansion draft, like. It was upsetting to a lot of fans because, I mean, the contract it was, and you left people unprotected. I don't even remember who was left unprotected in that draft, but people were upset that they were put in that situation. Like, he's an older keeper. Like, why?
Right.
Like, if they pick him, okay, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, that's the worst thing that could have happened in that situation. But we could run into that again, right? But it's a new front office. I felt like there were a lot of allegiances, right? There were a lot of, behind the scenes handshakes, like on deals and things like that. But the only thing that makes sense and why you protect him in that situation is that you're our boy, Brad. Like we'll do this for you.
Sure, that'll be a big topic discussion in the off season.
Ooh, well, I can't wait till we have
one of many.
Who do we protect podcast?
Yeah, one of many.
Great.
But that's a totally different discussion for another day.
Oh, walks.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, buddy.
Rest in peace, yeah. For sure.
All right. Ty has been back here waiting patiently. I didn't want to cold drop him in. I'm trying to say his name so he makes sure he knows it's time to go in.
But drop him in whenever.
No, we can do that with Ty. Ty, what's going on, buddy?
What's going on? What's up, Ty?
Going, fellas?
You doing all right?
Living the dream, man. Living the dream.
Yeah. So first of all, just catch us up on what's been going on, man. The show and all that.
Busy. Doing college athletic stuff, social media and whatnot. Obviously crew stuff also throughout the week. It's just running around like a chicken with my head cut off, pretty much, honestly.
Yeah.
That's par for the
course. What's it like podcasting for a team that's good?
It's amazing. We get great content from coaches. We have a lot to talk about, a lot of games. We also like to reminisce on, the champions, MLS Cup champions, Leagues Cup champions also.
I didn't ask you to brag.
And everything.
I didn't ask you to
brag. But I mean, honestly, I think any podcast can say that they enjoy it because they get great stuff coming out of the club. I think also with me being a reporter, also I get stuff straight from the horse's mouth, as people say, so there's no BSing anything like that or stuff like that. So I think with any podcast, people can say covering the team that they grew up on, watching, supporting, and whatnot is always a great thing.
And, just considering what they've been through, man, just it's incredible. The fact they even have a team is incredible. That speaks to the fans. That speaks to how much it means to the Columbus community. So I imagine that's another just layer to it that you wake up, you're like, hey, I get to cover this team that by all accounts shouldn't be here anymore, right?
Yeah, I mean, given what was happening, I think the biggest thing was I think it was like 3 years after I just started covering the team was when, you know, all the relocation stuff happened,
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, there goes I have nothing else to cover except hockey. But even in hockey, my favorite team is down in Florida. So I mean, I'm just
Which
like I can't.
one?
Tampa Bay Lightning.
Oh, Lightning. Okay.
Yeah. But I don't want to go to Cleveland to cover the Browns, the Monsters, the Guardians. I don't want to go down to Cincinnati because F Cincinnati. But
Yeah,
I don't,
you can say it.
I don't want to cover the Bengals. Don't want to cover the Reds. Definitely don't want to cover FC Cincinnati. But you know,
I hear you.
Yeah.
So I guess let's dive into it. We'll start obviously with your team, with Columbus. We'll talk about the game against DC, but real quick, what were your thoughts on Campeones Cup?
oh man, I thought we looked depleted. Honestly, I mean, given Club America hasn't been doing well, I should say, in their season right now. But man, they took it to us in the first half. Things started to look better. I think the last maybe 5 minutes of the first half. Um, Schultz got called into a couple of decent saves. No more routine saves. I think we just weren't clicking. The communication that we've had throughout the entire season normally that you guys see during MLS play and when you guys see highlights, it just wasn't there. And we put out Nancy put out a strong 11. He put out a very heavy normal starting 11 that would compete in MLS play. But it just wasn't there. It just wasn't there the first 35 40 minutes. 40 to 45 we kind of started to get things together. Came out of the half obviously. We looked good. I thought we were going to get an early one, but it's too hard to tell when you have Giovanni Dos Santos or Jonathan Dos Santos, and everybody else just breathing down your neck. Credit to Club America, honestly. They another Liga MX giant. They deserve the win, obviously. But I think the goal that Amundsen scored kind of breathed life back into it a little bit into the game. But it's another midweek game for a trophy, and I think fatigue is honestly catching up to us.
Yes, I was going to ask you that. You had
Mhm.
Champions Cup early in the season. You, of course, have the MLS regular season to go through. Of course, Campeones Cup. So I was going to ask you how much of all of those competitions combined. I guess first part of the question is all the competitions combined. How much did that contribute to the fatigue? But I guess the next question is, and I saw Omer saying it. What's the over under on them winning both the Shield and MLS Cup? I think if Columbus or if Miami wins on Wednesday, they win the Shield. Miami does. But as far as MLS Cup, what does that look like, especially with the number of matches that Columbus has played this season?
I mean, I don't want to sound like a homer, but I think MLS Cup is pretty good in our future. I think the biggest thing is we have to control what we can control now. We not really blaze, but we got as far to the final in CONCACAF Champions Cup, won the League's Cup. Campeones Cup was just pretty much a one and done type of deal. And now we can focus on the things that we can control, and that's our position in the standings. That's the results that matter the most to, maybe get us I know it's a long stretch, but maybe a first round bye or, whatever, the wild card winner. But I think MLS Cup is probably the biggest one that I think the club is going for. If by chance, somehow, some way we pull a rabbit out of the hat and get the Shield, cool. That's the first one in almost 20 years, I think. But I think MLS Cup is a more realistic goal because Yeah, I think Miami needs 9 points in these 4 games or whatever
Yeah, something like that.
to win the Shield. That's kind of out of reach. But I think the realistic one is MLS Cup, and that's something that, when Nancy sets out the objectives for the season, the first objective is get X amount of wins. Then the next objective is, hey, make playoffs. Next objective is, Shield, MLS Cup, or whatever it is. He lays them out in objectives, and that's how they progress through the season. Is next objective is this. I think the MLS Cup is the more realistic one for us instead of the Shield.
Yeah, and like I've been saying for a while, like you have all these extra games, right? Soon as League's Cup ends, like you were playing again on Wednesday. I think it was like immediately you were playing Philadelphia on that Wednesday, and it was like, okay, well, what we were talking about it at the game, like who are they going to put out on there? Are they going to rest guys? What are they going to do? Like winning back-to-back MLS Cups is rare, right? And that's what you want to do. And do you really want to beat yourself up here to attempt this, right? Like you want to be fresh for it, but really right now it just seems like it's just you and Cincinnati fighting for who could potentially, can you not avoid Miami as long as you can, right? Like that's obviously an important thing here. I mean, I've said it before, like get them last in the East if you can, because these guys are old. You never know what happens with injuries with some of these guys. Like just wait until the end and have home advantage. They very rarely ever. I mean, I saw the record of Columbus since Nazi come out, and like it's ridiculous. Like they've barely lost at home. Like you need to have it. I mean, you end up winning last year the Eastern Conference in Cincinnati, right? Which was crazy. But you want to have it at home, and you're 1 point above them with 1 game still in hand. Clinch that and send these guys, on vacation for a couple days.
I think also with Miami was, we haven't seen, Columbus at least hasn't seen Messi yet. So obviously they don't know how effective naturally that he can be with Miami. Yes, they might have seen games when he's played, but as far as seeing him in the flesh, they don't know how effective he's going to be. I was not impressed with the way Alba, Busquets, and who's the other one?
Suarez.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Played when they came here for Leagues Cup. I mean, it's always just going to be through those 3. Something is going to play through those 3. How can Columbus counteract that? Well, Darlington Nagbe, Sean Zawadski, Diego Rossi, Chris Ramirez, Cucho Hernandez. I mean, we have pieces to kind of counteract that. But I think with Miami, it's just going to go naturally through these 3 to 4 players because of the connection that they've had in the past with each other. And that's what kind of makes Miami click. And that's what makes Miami the girl standing across the bar looking really good is just that itself. But then you have the guy who might have no shot here in the Columbus Crew making his way over to the hot girl, and it's just it's something that Columbus can definitely do and keep containing Miami. I mean, hell, we came back from a 2-0 deficit in Leagues Cup to win 3-2. So I just don't see, me personally, Miami's been good. I just think they're overhyped.
I'm shocked you didn't call them the Golden Girls at the bar.
Fellow Miami.
Atlanta might not be able to give you much advice right now, but they can give you advice on Miami. That is, Atlanta is a team that just has got Miami's number in terms of
team,
not allowing them to win. I mean, unless you go back to that first Leagues Cup game last year, but we'll forget about that one. Anyway, this DC game. Talk to us real quick about that. Like what, you went down early, and then Columbus does Columbus things. They come back and they're winning 2-1, and then of course Benteke, Golden Boot leader at this point, comes out of nowhere, does his thing. But kind of, I guess, just talk us through kind of what y'all's thoughts were with that.
Well, I think it's very hard to stop anybody that's above 6'4",
Yeah.
just in general, to
Can't
be
teach
quite honest
height.
with you. I think it just all goes back to the fatigue thing, honestly, because we play Wednesday a full starting 11 against Club America in the Campeones Cup. We throw out another full 11 against DC United. DC United is also, fighting for a spot in the playoffs. I don't know, can't remember what place they're in right now, but they're also fighting for a spot in the playoffs. Us, we've already clinched playoffs, so I think there's a little bit of, hey, we're not going to, go full out, even though we should, but we've already secured our spot. Let's just try and I wouldn't say, and I know Tommy sent me this, not take our foot off the gas, but just kind of, play our game and just see what happens because we are on heavy legs, honestly. Man, DC United honestly is no slouch. If you get them on the right day, oh my gosh, I think we
Ask
caught them on the
Atlanta.
right day. What's that?
It's an ask Atlanta.
Oh my god. I think if we catch them on the right day, we're screwed, and that's what happened, obviously, because how we can leave Christian Benteke that open in the 18-yard box is beyond me. And I get we can, our defense is okay at times, good at times, whatever. But DC United is just I think they're a different animal under Troy Lesane.
So, I mean, let's kind of segue, out of Saturday's match into Wednesday, a huge match coming up against Inter Miami. He'll be looking to clinch the shield at Lower.com Field, and I'm sure you'll be there. But Miami coming in, having drawn 3 matches in a row, and that's with Messi in the lineup. And I think we're seeing, maybe they've hit a little bit of a wall. I know it could be that they turn it on in the postseason, but 3 matches in a row. I'm sure Tata is worried. I'm sure the coaching staff is worried. I mean, what's their approach coming into this match, especially with a trophy on the line against Columbus?
I think their approach to the match is just the same as it's been always: go in and win. I don't know anything about Messi and whatnot. I think that's more so of like the battered herons and Alex Winley down there. I gotta ask them, but I think their approach is just like any other team's approach going into a game. It's just go in, get the job done. We'll worry about the hardware later. I think especially coming to Columbus, the place where the last time they came here, they ended up blowing a 2-0 lead after 66 minutes. That's probably going to be in the back of their mind, especially when I think that was to get us to the semifinal of League's Cup. I'm pretty sure. That's going to be in the back of their mind, like, hey, we lost to these guys. We kind of gave them a run for their money in their own house too. I think we lost 2-1, but we gave them a run for their money in their own house. They came, blew a 2-0 lead. I think now that's going to be in the back of their mind. Like I said, just get the job done. Now, I think the biggest question is, what are we going to do to contain Cucho Hernandez? One of the top 3 leading for MVP candidates right now. And also the we call it a 3-headed monster, our front 3 of Ramirez, Rossi, and Hernandez. How can we contain those 3? How can we make sure Darlington Nagbe does not hold the ball for X amount of possession? I mean, that guy averages a passing percentage of 96, 97% each game. He's
we
so
know.
good.
We're aware.
Oh yeah. So I think, how can we make sure he's not on the ball too long? How can we make sure this front 3 doesn't interchange every 25 minutes like Nancy wants them to do? And just essentially, how can we get Suarez on the scoreboard, Messi on the scoreboard? How can we make sure that everybody's involved to kind of break down our back 3 and make sure that Mo Farsi and Max Arston are kind of isolated on the wings and being left in the dust when you have Miami's wingers coming down the channels?
I think at the end of the day, and I've said this really all season. But I do think Columbus is the better team. I think Miami's doing what Miami should be doing at this point because they have 4 Barcelona alumni. Like, they have the dream team, right? Like,
and their former coach.
if they were doing anything less than what they're doing right now, they would be the laughing stock of MLS. I still think Columbus is the better team overall. I really, and especially considering how Miami play and how Tata Martino plays, if you allow them to get stretched out a little bit, then they have no idea what to do because admittedly their defense is terrible. It's terrible. So I just feel like Columbus, and especially in a game that really matters, is going to run circles around Miami.
And I think I saw that when we went down to Miami was they started off strong, but then they I think they got their first goal and they kind of, just sat back and let Columbus dictate the game,
which they don't know how to do.
Yeah, which is how we ended up scoring right before halftime. Sure enough, mental error gives Miami the second goal, and they win. But when teams face Columbus and they sit back, and after like going up a goal or something like that with plenty of time left, that's a dangerous move, especially with look at our bench: Yevon Shaberko, Jason Russell-Rowe. Amazing diving header against DC United, by the way. Yao Yaboa, Sean Zawadzki, if he's not starting, Alex Matan, our Romanian dribbly boy. We have so many pieces that can, just plug and play, and it's just a brand new game. We could go 1, go 2, go 3, and end up winning this game. And I think in the back of my head sometimes that a lot of teams kind of underrate Wilfried Nancy and his tactics because he only had 2 years in Montreal before crap hit the fan, and now he's at Columbus doing the same thing, but now in his first year, he wins MLS Cup. Now we're back in the playoffs again, looking for our 4th MLS Cup. I think a lot of teams just underrate how he is because he plays a 3 in the back.
Yeah.
That's one of the best in the league.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah. I mean, anybody with a head on their shoulders, I mean, you can't. Wilfried Nancy should have won Coach of the Year multiple times already. I mean, and it's kind of ridiculous that he hasn't, because he hasn't at all yet, right? Like, I'm not missing one.
He was third last year. He was third last year, and then he was second. His second year in Montreal.
Yeah. Okay. That's the year he really got robbed because he made Montreal way better than they were supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What took them from third to second, respectively, in his 2 years there?
Yep.
That's crazy.
So, all right, we will. We're gonna jump around the league a little bit, and this is where everybody kind of jumps in, and nobody's team is involved. We'll preview Montreal with Atlanta once we get to that, but. I think
we do have breaking news. We do have breaking news.
Go ahead.
I mean, we gotta say it.
No, 100%.
Pete Rose.
Yeah.
Pete Rose.
I don't know if you guys saw me. I looked. I was like what the hell?
Yeah.
First they came in
Mutombo earlier. Yeah, not Pete Rose.
Jesus
Wow.
Christ.
You know what they say.
Yeah.
So he comes in threes.
Right.
One lady who played in Harry Potter earlier this week.
Yeah, dude.
Maggie Smith. Yeah.
That one hurt, man. That one hurt.
Yeah.
I got a big fight about that because my wife just kept going, "Oh, it's McGonagall or whatever in Harry Potter." No, she was the nun from Sister Act. That's what she was.
Honestly,
the nun from Sister Act.
Dude, it's McGonagall all day. Did you see the
Yeah.
pictures of down at Universal where there was like freaking hundreds of people that went down there? I mean, nerds, be honest. But pulled out their wands, were like holding them to the sky. But it was like a ridiculous amount of people when she passed away.
Yeah, I guess they've done that before for all
they
the
did
other
it
ones.
for Dumbledore last year.
Dumbledore died?
Last year, a year ago to the day.
Oh,
Wow.
which one? Wasn't there two? Or are they both dead?
No, I think it was the one that.
Oh,
I think it was the one from the first movies. I think. Man, now I'm
okay.
I'm gonna have to look this up.
Now you're questioning your answers.
I know.
Sorry, sorry about that.
No, I'm gonna have to go back and look now. But yes, rest in peace. Also, real quick, everybody affected by the hurricanes. We haven't really got to talk about it, but just prayers for everybody being affected by just everything that's going on, man. Asheville, North Carolina is in bad shape, and the area around it. So, if you're the praying type, the thinking type, whatever you do it for them. Hopefully they are able to make it out of that safely, or as safe as possible, and get back on their feet.
Exactly.
All right. Hudson River Derby.
Yeah.
That was a crazy one. That was a crazy. I mean, it was really fun if you're a City fan, not so much if you're a Red Bull fan, but it was important, I think, because it put them even on points. Like this was a true derby, right? Like this is what got you. It's what got City to that. I think it's at 33 points or whatever they're at. And they're ahead on wins over their rivals, but New York City 5-1. Sydney, what are your initial thoughts?
That looks really bad for the Red Bulls, because both teams were coming into the match on lengthy winless streaks, and I think it was 8 or 9 matches winless for NYC, 6 for Red Bulls, and if you're both teams are gonna be in the playoffs, but just a bad result for the Red Bulls, and the fans are just really getting restless. So I just pulled it up now. It's 6 winless for the Red Bulls at this point, and then NYC were 9 winless in a row. But if you're Red Bulls going into the playoffs, and just considering the history of what this franchise, even going back to its days at the Metro Stars, was just unable to get over the hump. If I'm a Red Bull fan, I'm like, here we go again, Groundhog Day. This team coming up short of the big moments, and the Derby, no less. In the Derby, yes, they're level in points with NYC. Yes, they're the playoffs, but right now that matchup is that 3-6 matchup. If the playoffs would start today, would be Cincinnati, New York, and Cincinnati will be licking its chops, considering the state of affairs that the Red Bulls are in right now. So, just a bad result for them, and a really good result for NYC. Maybe that gives them a little bit of a boost of confidence heading to the final match of the season against Cincinnati, Nashville, and Montreal. They could be in the top 4 when it's all said and done. So tough state of affairs for Red Bulls, but NYC getting a boost of momentum.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Red Bulls at the end of the day are a decent soccer team, but a team that doesn't know how to finish a game. And I mean, this one is notwithstanding. This one was just a bad game overall. Yeah. But you look at their draw record this year, and it's crazy, which is why New York City is now ahead of them. But either way, like the way that the playoffs are set, if it were to start, like you said, today, I don't think either one of these teams are super happy with who they have to play in the playoffs.
Yeah. NYC would face Orlando. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, and Orlando, they're up and down, but I think from a neutral standpoint, that was like the game of the weekend for me, just because it's 6 goals. Like it was kind of back and forth. Like City comes out early, right? But then things get a little interesting in the first half, and then it just gets blown wide open. But Ty, did you get a chance to check it out at all?
I was in Ashland, Ohio all weekend for Ohio Dominican, but I mean, 4 goals before halftime. New York City they're honestly very good. I think beginning of the season, everything is like, hey, NYC, Nick Cushing is under heavy fire. And then they turn it around. I mean, hell, they gave us a run for our money. Columbus, when we went there, even just this recent time when they came here, I don't know what it is. NYC turned it around, and they are honestly, I think, a dark horse for at least making it to the conference semis for this round of playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, 1 win in their first 6 matches, but then after that, 8 wins in 9, went on a little losing streak, 3-match losing streak, won back-to-back matches, and then went winless in 9. I think, let me see, 6 draws, 3 losses, 6 draws, and 9 matches before beating Red Bull. So, yeah, like I said, they have to feel confident with these next few matches coming up. And again, who knows? They could make their way further up the table and be in the top 4 spot if they play their cards right. So, big result for NYC, and then again, just a terrible result for Red Bulls.
Yeah. Tommy, you look like you were about to say something. You was on the edge.
No, I hate both New York teams. I'm good.
I agree. We're in the same boat.
Can we interest you in other teams, Tommy?
This next one we're going to talk about.
Tommy is rapidly knocking off any other podcasters that want to come on our show.
So
I can't. I gotta say, like Philly last week, I dog crap talked them like under the wagon, but maybe we just won't have a Philly podcaster on here. I don't know.
I hate Philly fans. They're terrible. They're terrible at every sport.
I got a hot dog thrown at me by one of them. I went to a Red Bull Philly game.
Touch it in your mouth or no?
No, it hit me like right here because how the supporter section is. The away supporters are right next to Sons of Ben, and Philadelphia and New York Red Bulls are already a big rivalry.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's just like Jesus Christ.
Wish you would have caught it.
at least it was a hot dog and not something.
That's a
like
better story
battery,
if you would have
or
caught it.
battery or something.
Yeah, no, Tommy, you wouldn't have been. I mean, yeah,
You gotta up your stories, man. Like, give a
Okay,
little
you
oomph,
caught it
like-
and threw it back, and
Yeah,
it like broke in half,
right into the guy's mouth.
or that.
Like when you're in a nursing home, like in 60 years, you're gonna tell this story, and you're gonna be like, "There I was, at the Philly game, and I saw a hot dog, and I caught it in my mouth, and it wasn't even dollar hot dog night."
Oh man,
How you
Too
up the
much.
story?
Too much.
I mean, that's a different set of details.
Yeah.
honestly,
After Dark podcast, right?
Yeah.
I hope nobody like screenshots me.
Yeah.
Do it now,
As a
Omar. I
meme.
know you're listening. Do it now.
Yeah. I see we have Montreal, San Jose written down. I mean, do we want to save that last since Atlanta takes on Montreal on Wednesday, or do we just want to talk about it now?
Yeah, we can.
What do you guys think?
We can skip over and give at least half of the West Coast some love.
Yeah.
Starting off, LAFC versus Cincy. I know you have strong thoughts, Ty, on Cincy. Probably pretty happy about this result, but
hey,
2-1 LA.
Hey, if LAFC can't beat one Ohio team, they have to beat the other, apparently. So, I mean, let's just do it that way.
Hey, I like this. I like dropping shade.
So, real quick, I was watching this match and for a little bit, and LAFC really were playing Cincy off the pitch in the first half and really got a deserved first goal. But that LAFC and Cincy in similar positions on the table, but LAFC eventually getting the win 2-1. Cincy pulled one back, but LAFC getting the last laugh through Bwanga in the third minute. Who else? But deserved goal really in the first the first half for LAFC. Archano scoring for Cincy to level, but Bwanga giving them the match winner. LAFC. Did you see any of that match at all? Well, actually, you were at your this college soccer game, right, for that one?
I ended up watching the last few minutes of that one.
Yeah, hate watching.
Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, I think the score was already 2-1. I think when I turned it on, so I didn't see much of it. But I don't know. Cincinnati's kind of weird, right? Because they start off so well, and then they lose Lucho for X amount of games before Leagues Cup or after Leagues Cup, where he's only been playing 45 minutes. And then all of a sudden they get hit with injuries. Even before then with Miazga, Hagland. I can't remember who else. There was another player that got injured. He's out for, I think, the year. And then it's just like now they're kind of staggering performances, right? They We tie them 0-0. Obviously, the most boring game I've ever seen. But then they'll lose like one, then win two, then draw another one, then win two. Is this consistency with them is starting to kind of stagger a little bit as opposed to how they were last year when they won the Shield. Or was it last year when they won the Shield?
Yeah.
Yeah. Last year when they won the Shield, it just there was a line of consistency. And I don't think Pat Noonan has figured out the missing piece to kind of, stop the floodgates from opening of injuries that they've been having.
So I'm going to ask you to put on your unbiased hat here as
Yes.
best you can.
Mhm.
Are they still contenders? I mean, I know the playoffs are the playoffs and it's anybody's game really, but do you think out of the playoffs as they stand right now, the teams that are in it, do you think they have a chance of making it to MLS Cup?
I think so. Realistically, yes. I think the addition of Gioacchini is good, although he hasn't produced. I think he just needs to find that right game for him to produce. Kevin Kelsey, tall guy, obviously he's a good aerial threat. Lucho Acosta is Lucho Acosta. Celentano, I think he's probably one of the best keepers in MLS. At shot stopping for sure. I don't think he commands his box well, but shot stopping, he's probably one of the best keepers.
National team level, you think?
What's that?
U.S. national team level, or not quite?
I mean, I will say I thought I was surprised that he didn't get called up for the Olympics. I thought him and Schulte, and I can't remember who else was there.
Brady.
Yes, I thought that could have been a great goalkeeping union for the USMNT at the Olympics, but I think so I don't even remember who else was there. I think it was Schulte, Brady, and I think was it Selena Gaga? Selenina?
I think it was Selena.
Yeah.
I think
sounds right.
That's a good goalkeeping union, but I think Celentano should have been there also. But realistically, yeah, I think they have a chance to make an MLS Cup.
No, I mean, I agree with you. I do think, like you said, though, the inconsistency and they're not on the best run of form. Like,
No,
they're not bad. I mean, at this point, like 3/4 of this podcast wishes this team that they support was playing like Cincinnati, but they've had a dip, right? But they're not.
Yeah,
they're not bad at all.
No,
so
not at all.
LAFC. I mean, it was honestly, it was a good matchup though. I think like LAFC, you're going to get a certain kind of football, and it's always going to be exciting. You can say that. I mean, I think it was just two very distinctly different types of coaching, and LAFC, I think the biggest difference from them and just about anybody else in this league is the fact that they are very good at finishing their chances.
I mean, just looking at what I see here, 38% possession for LAFC, and they pull out a win is absolutely unreal. I mean, that gives Cincinnati 62, 17 shots by LAFC. It's unreal. But for them to have that much possession of the game is asinine, honestly.
Yeah. And it didn't feel that way. That's the thing. Like LAFC was just they looked dangerous most of the game.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Now I guess we'll go fully West Coast, jumping over to another one. And I'll be the first one to say this. I didn't care about this game at all. I don't like the name Barbecue at all.
Hold on. St. Louis is not the West Coast. Kansas City's not the West Coast. It's the Midwest. But go ahead.
That's the conference. So you're absolutely right. You're right. I got to get out of the habit of saying coast. It just feels that way. You got Seattle and all the LA teams.
That's West Coast.
Like West Coast. No, middle America.
Is dying, laughing.
I'm terrible at geography, and I'm just so happy that I knew he was wrong.
Okay, let's get it straight. I didn't think they were on the West Coast. I just gotta get my freaking names right. I can't say West Coast anymore.
It's like Nashville, Predators were in the Western Conference for the longest time in the
Nashville
NHL.
SC was in the Western
The
Conference.
Nashville
Chicago
SC,
Black,
yeah.
the Columbus Blue Jackets were in the Western Conference.
Blackhawks, the
They
Red
were.
Wings, the Red Wings were in the Western Conference.
It's ridiculous. Look,
Yeah.
the coast, the beach is on my mind. All
Right.
right, that's where we're going with this. Fine. The Middle America Derby,
Yes.
the barbecue, whatever we want to call this stupid thing.
Heart of America Derby.
St. Louis 3-1 over SKC. SKC coming off Open Cup heartbreak again. To LAFC, so we'll bring them back in the conversation. But I'll give it credit, like good atmosphere.
Yeah.
I got to give St. Louis credit for what they're doing up there. Like the atmosphere is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But the game honestly was kind of meaningless, really. Like it's bragging rights because both teams are not really in a great place to even make a run at all for the playoffs.
They're both out, both eliminated.
They're both fully out. Okay.
Yeah.
I knew SKC was. I wasn't sure about St. Louis, but so there you go. I mean, look, it's the bragging rights derby, but where do you go? Like, where does Sporting Kansas City, like I still remember thinking it was the dumbest thing in the world when they signed Peter Vermees to another contract. And
yes,
here we are again. Like,
yeah, exactly.
what are we doing?
Yeah.
Why does this guy still have a job?
Because here's my logic. Okay. Anytime KC has had a absolute disaster of a season, somehow, some way, the latter portion of the season, Peter Vermees does just enough to make sure that the board is happy, the club is happy, and he is still in charge. He does just enough to make sure that he is still in charge because he still believes that this club can, return back to the Wizards days and, be great like they were. But I ask myself that every time I see KC lose or just in general, honestly. But then I think he does just enough. Either it's a win streak or he just makes the playoffs or, he gets some type of trophy. If they would have beat LAFC in the Open Cup, I'm pretty sure he would have been around for another 10 years.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
It's a trophy somehow, some way, but he does just enough. And I'm just like, was it 16, about to be 17 years in charge?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
How much of that factors into this? Because I always felt that he'd leave on his own terms, but now this club are at a real turning point. This is, they got to the playoffs barely in 2023, but now they're missing out on the playoffs. They lost the Open Cup, so now they have no trophies, nothing to play for the rest of the season except pride. But yeah, he's been there forever. He's been there since 2009. It's the longest tenured coach in MLS, and in the league of turnover, he has survived. So how much of, yes, he's been there for that long factors into, we're kind of afraid to turn the page because we don't know who we can bring in that the fans will embrace wholeheartedly.
I think because Peter Vermees is also a brutal, honest person.
Yeah, he is.
Quite honestly, he's brutally honest about any and everything. I think if they were to turn the page either this year or next year, 20 years from now, from Peter Vermees, he's going to say, oh, well, I never got XYZ to help with, the player roster of the thing. I asked for this, I never got this. And I asked for this, I never got that. I think he just has so much behind him that he's just ready to unleash if and when he gets fired or sacked, whatever the term is that we use. I say sacked, whatever. But I think he just has so much that he has pent up that as soon as he gets relieved, it's just going to be like, Jesus Christ. And go ahead.
No, good.
I kind of disagree with that, though. I mean, he's been there for a while. I'm sure he's not going to burn any bridges between himself and Sporting Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean, but I think it's more so of what hasn't happened already that we think is going to change within the next 2 years. And I think it's nothing, because KC is, I don't even know how to say it. KC is just the team that is just here.
They're just vanilla.
Mhm.
Vanilla?
Vanilla, yeah. Just
You
plain.
never heard of that?
No.
Really?
Really?
No.
Oh my God, we're about to teach you in the weirdest way. Like I thought this was like a very common term. Like they're just vanilla. They're just plain. Like they
Just
just don't
blah.
stand out in any particular way.
Yeah.
They're just vanilla.
Never heard that before.
Are you serious? What
I
is
swear.
Tell me what is going on in Ohio?
I don't know. I love vanilla though.
I do.
Like vanilla cupcakes are way better than chocolate cupcakes. So like when someone says
Blasphemy.
it's vanilla, I'm like, good, I'll eat it.
Yeah. No, but like there's definitely
Alright,
credence to that. There's definitely credence to that. Like, they have Johnny Russell, of course. They have Willie Agata, who's playing well. But this is not a big market team, and this is a club with not a lot of resources from ownership. They're not a big spending club. They've kind of always punched above their weight. But now you look at LAFC, look at the New York teams, especially NYC, look at Miami, look at Atlanta, clubs with a lot of money that could really, if invested correctly, can put them at the top of the league. But then you have Kansas City, who aren't as flush with resources, and now you have Vermees really at a turning point with this club. So,
Well, you said something that I was going to kind of hit on. I wonder if, because I don't know that I would agree that they're not a bigger market club just because they do have support. Like it's a well supported club, but it's not a
compared to Atlanta though.
club. Yeah, for sure.
Right.
But with Peter Vermees also being the technical director, I wonder if the ownership group is like, well, we kind of got a 2-for-1 because he's been grandfathered in from like 80 years ago. Like maybe, because you're not going to find a guy that's going to do both the jobs like him. Like there's only a handful of coaches out there that understand MLS to where they could do both jobs. And he's one of them. So I wonder if that factors into why they've kept him around so long, because they don't want to spend that extra money that it's going to take to find a legitimately good technical director on top of it, then a new coach. And then your fun fact of the day that I didn't know until I just looked it up a minute ago. He was a broadcaster for San Jose.
No, he did not.
No way.
Yep. He's also a technical director at like some other club too, but some small club. But yeah, he was a broadcaster.
Yeah, did not know that.
I mean, Greg Berhalter was also both when he was here in Columbus.
Yeah.
And I still believe the ball was firmly out of bounds, but it is what it is. Made it to the MLS Cup 2015 against the Portland Timbers, and then I had a crap year in 2016 and then a crap year in 2017 before all the relocation stuff happened. And then missed the playoffs 2018. Obviously, did we make the playoffs? I don't remember. But it's just, I don't think you can find another that does both. But I think Greg Berhalter did not.
Yeah, I can't say the name.
I think he didn't understand MLS as well as Peter Vermees does right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, Vanny is another example. Greg Vanny, stripped of his technical director title, he brought somebody in, and look at them now. So you start to see that less and less. And Garth Lego has been staunchly opposed to head coach / technical director. He says he wants to, quote unquote, keep church and state separate. So he's staunchly opposed to it, and starting to see that less and less in MLS, I think.
I would only give it to one coach right now, and that would be Tata Martino. 100%. Only because he's going to bring in guys that want to play for him. So
yeah, exactly.
All right. So speaking of Tata, which then segues to Joseph, which then segues to Montreal, which segues to Atlanta. Here we are, Atlanta versus Montreal. This coming Wednesday. Our old pal Joseph doing his thing, gets a brace over San Jose. That's the caveat, right? Like San Jose is a crappy team. But Joseph in Atlanta, it's never just a simple, like, it's either good or bad. And they play Wednesday, and it's pretty close to a must-win game for Atlanta and Montreal, really. I mean, like it's kind of neck and neck. So, Tommy, I know you've been chomping at the bit. What you thinking?
Scared. It's good to see him. I like, some people. I don't think there's many Atlanta fans that are upset with Joseph Martinez, right? The way he left. I mean, obviously there was some tension there, but it's good to see him getting his career, on track and finding a place where, well, I don't know how great the relationship is there because we heard all the rumors of everything that happened, right? Of him getting into it with management. Shocking. But it's good to see him, right? Like I've always said, like I would love to see a match where it's Cucho and Joseph Martinez, right? I mean, Cucho is Joseph Martinez to me in so many ways, and I've said this many times, so I'm not gonna go rehash it. But like two of the best guys that have done it in this league, and it's sad to me that you can't see some of these matchups, right? Of some of these guys have come in since that injury that Joseph had in Nashville.
Yeah.
But now he's in a team that is, hunting for the playoffs. He's obviously a big part of it, which is great. But now he comes back to Mercedes-Benz Stadium, likely starting. He didn't get to do that again when he was here with Miami, right? He came in for a quick in and out, and they did a quick little dedication to him. But now he's starting, right? And he can end Atlanta's playoff hopes and really give a big push to get them in. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
That's why I picked this week. It was like a perfect timing. Thursday night football and getting to see Joseph play again.
Yeah. And Montreal, they're playing for playoffs too. They're playing for playoff positioning as well. They're tied with Philly on points. Philly, as we mentioned, the other night has a tie break with just a ginormous goal differential. It's like 10 to negative 17. So the only way Montreal could get in on playoffs if they had a level of points with Philadelphia is that win tiebreaker. And they understand that they can't leave town with a draw for that very reason. The win tiebreaker is completely out of the question at this time. So it's 3 points are bust for them, 3 points are bust for Atlanta. Atlanta, like we said, isn't officially eliminated with a loss. They may as well be if they do lose. And they need some help around the league along with that. Red Bulls play Toronto. Orlando plays Philly. So they need wins. Like they need Red Bulls to beat Toronto. The Orlando beat Philly. And of course, they need to sweep these two at home against Montreal, the Red Bulls. So desperate times for Atlanta United. And you look back, like I said before, you look back and you're thinking, if this had been a win or if this had been a win, instead of a draw, instead of a loss, this team would be in better shape right now. If they have had, one more win, I think they would be in playoff positioning. 1 or 2 more wins, they'd be in playoff positioning as opposed to draws. That's how close it's been. Like,
you could say that, but remember the Tiare game? Like, they shouldn't have won that when he
They should have never
behind.
won it, yeah. No,
right,
exactly.
and they should never won it. So, I mean, there's ones that,
Sure.
draws that are wins.
Yeah.
Wins that were draws. I mean,
yeah, but
you can't go back there. You can't go back and be like, wish I married her. And like if you go back and look in the past, that just gets you in trouble. We did this last year, right? We started naming off like on a regular basis. We just kept naming off. We're like, oh, remember that game where we allowed that goal in the 216th minute? Yeah, like it was. I just want to make the playoffs, man. I know we were there. I mean, like, but last year, like we looked at it and it was like, how could we have avoided, having to play Columbus, right? Like there were so many games that like we should have had a higher seed, should have had home advantage, but we just couldn't finish. And the year before when we didn't make the playoffs, it was the same thing. But we'll have a new manager, a new technical director, and then we're going to go to Columbus and we're going to beat them. And I'm going to laugh in Ty's face and I'm going to throw a hot dog and he better catch it in his mouth.
Tommy, you're not allowed at lower.com anymore.
Banned from lower.com field.
Stay out of the line.
He didn't even know I was there last time until I messaged him when he walked right by me. I was like, turn around, buddy.
I knew you were going to be there. I was trying to it was too hot, man.
Oh, I think it was your buddy. He was like, what are you doing here?
Yeah. Yeah,
I think that's
Yep.
what it was.
Yep. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
So, Ty? What do you think about Joseph? Because kind of going back to what Tommy was saying, seeing
Man.
Joseph and Cucho play would have been like
No.
phenomenal. But I'm going to say caveat again because Omar said I said it wrong. There's a
You
caveat.
didn't say it wrong.
Joseph hasn't been with a good team. I would love to do like what we all do in like Madden, right? And
Wait, what? You said Joseph what?
he hasn't been with a good team like in a way that they could play Columbus.
He was on Miami
They weren't a good
with
team.
Messi.
They were still a
I mean,
bad team.
they had an opportunity.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, he didn't do it though. That's the thing.
They did. They
no,
did win. They
I'm
did
trying to
win
get to
Leagues
a
Cup.
point here. All right.
No, I'm just going to argue with you.
Whatever. Argue with the wall.
You're the one talking. Quick, hot dog.
Good.
Go.
I'm not catching it in my mouth, Tommy. I need you to stop doing that. You look special.
Other way. All right, go.
No. 2018 Atlanta United versus whatever version, I guess last year, Columbus.
Mhm.
That's the type of game that I would love to see. That would be fun because I mean, and again, we all do it in Madden where you go like pick the 72 Dolphins and then whatever version of like the Patriots and just see who's better.
Right.
That would be two teams because those have been the two standout teams over the past decade. Really, I mean, Seattle you could throw in there, but for different reasons. But you have Joseph and Cucho, and to Tommy's point, Cucho is very similar in a lot of ways to what Joseph did for Atlanta back in the day.
Yeah.
But I guess it was a very long-winded way of saying just like what are your thoughts on Joseph?
He definitely is a scary guy, honestly. But he's scary in a good way, right? The time that he spent with Atlanta was just absolutely remarkable, right? Yeah, he didn't get a lot of playing time at Miami, for obvious reasons. But when he did get playing time, he kind of picked up right where he left off after he left Atlanta.
Yeah.
I think his Montreal tenure is a bit different because Laurent Courtois plays a very Wilfred Nancy type style of play. And I don't think Joseph is that type like Cucho to drop back so far in front of the back line to receive a ball and then just absolutely hit a nuke across the field to a winger that's running all alone, right? I think Joseph is that target forward where you want him to kind of hover on that back of the opposition back line and use his skill and speed to get around defenders. Which is kind of rough with Montreal, given how they play, right? With Miami, it's a bit different under Tata Martino because obviously you have the connection there with prior to Miami, it's Atlanta, right? So you have the connection there. Tata can definitely, give him as much as he wants to, be creative up front. But with Montreal, it's just different. But I think if he's at the right team, or if he kind of adapts to that style, I think he can be about as lethal as Cucho Hernandez can. And that's kind of scary because those two guys together are just absolutely crazy.
How close can he get to pre-ACL, Joseph, do you think?
Oh, see, I don't think it can beat pre-ACL Joseph.
Oh, no.
But I think you could probably get up there. You can't reach that level, but you can get up there to have that contribution from him again and make an impact around every aspect of the game. But I don't think he can reach that. ACLs are very hard to get over with. But I think you can get. I think you can get there at a very good chance.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I mean, I don't disagree. I mean, I think it's got to be the right team. Atlanta was the perfect team. You know,
It was. Yes.
Yeah.
it was perfect for him, and you know, he was perfect for Atlanta. Like it was a match made in heaven. Honestly, and you add
Like
in
chicken and rice.
like chicken and rice. Oh, that was complete.
Mm.
So, I mean, there's not a whole ton to talk about because it comes down to both teams have to win. It's going to be spicy. I have this really bad feeling. I'm just going to say it. Somebody, I don't know what team, somebody's getting injured in this game. Just a feeling. Just throwing it out there. Speaking my truth, Tommy. Don't make faces at me with that weird hot dog thing.
Is it like some Final Destination thing that you have going on here?
No, I'm just I mean, maybe we'll see Wednesday.
Like,
I don't know.
what do you wake up and just be like, yeah, someone's getting injured in this game?
Someone's gonna hurt tonight.
Your liver is going to be injured come Thursday morning.
Yeah, but like, what makes you say like, oh man, someone's gonna die in this game?
Because
His knee is itching.
how much do I have to spell it out? Joseph coming back to the Benz, a game that
he
they
doesn't
both
hurt
have to
people.
win.
Continue.
Nobody gets hurt.
Turf.
Maybe he gets hurt again. Oh my God! And then he throws in
What?
turf. Get
What
out,
do you
guy.
think?
I mean,
No,
nothing
I don't.
happens. Nothing good happens on turf, especially
mean-
Charlotte turf.
Yeah.
That's because they should pay more money for better turf.
Touche.
No, I think it's gonna be an interesting game. It's gonna be a spicy game ultimately. But Ty, you're the unbiased person here for this particular matchup. Throw a number out there. What do you think the score looks like?
Ah, man.
And you don't have to be, one way towards us just because you're on our show.
No.
No, he needs to. Don't tell him what not to
Tommy,
do.
Tommy, you're vanilla.
I'm delicious then.
Jesus Christ. Game's at the
Break.
Bend, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly I might have to go you guys. I'd probably go 2-1, maybe 2-0 Atlanta.
2-0 would be great.
I'll probably go 2-0 Atlanta, honestly. Which Tyler though? That's the question. It has to be.
No, he's talking about me because I mentioned the
Okay.
injured game.
Tyler.
I have a
Who gets
mark
injured?
on
Who
my
gets
back.
injured?
Yeah, that's the main prediction. Who gets hurt? Since we're talking about injuries.
Some random player from Montreal I don't know the name of.
Caden Clark. Well, he's not really random, but no, I don't want to put that
He's
out
not
there.
really
Random enough.
This mean. Sorry, Caden,
Sorry,
if you're
Caden,
watching.
if you're listening.
Wait, who did you say was gonna get hurt?
Caden Clark. What?
Nothing. I was gonna make another joke, but I'm just gonna hold it back.
I
It's
you're
too
talking about
easy.
basketball player.
No.
I blanked out for a minute. I was like,
Tommy, what's your
she gets,
prediction?
she gets eliminated from the NBA to WNBA playoffs and just signs to Montreal.
Caitlin Clark, not Caden Clark.
Oh yeah.
This guy.
What's your prediction?
Well, Atlanta United is 2-0 with Tommy at the Benz. So Atlanta United wins 2-1. Joseph Martinez scores. Saba and Tiare score. Tiare and Ronald Hernandez are available.
Oh, I thought you were about to say that was going to be the link up, and I was like, "What do you? What?"
Wait,
type of
No,
dummy
I
did you
did my homework before this. I watched Rob talk, and he did confirm that the Ronald's available, and Tiare was going through the last of his concussion protocol. So they are both available. I don't want to see Ronald Hernandez out there, however. Tiare, I don't mind it.
I'm just
It's like
saying,
flip a
Ronald
coin
Hernandez.
at this point.
Ronald Hernandez played the game where Atlanta beat Columbus at home. I'm just saying,
Yep, that's true.
and played well.
Why are you trying to humiliate our guest?
He's got plenty of bragging rights. I'm trying to grasp the straws over here. This season has sucked.
Yeah.
When I'm around, nothing's sucking. We're winning. So 2-1. Shut up, Ty. You don't know what you're saying.
Nothing.
I'm
Am I not
also
allowed to
gonna.
humiliate our guests? Is that not allowed? Our first two guests have been guys I've hung out with, so this is got to find someone I'm not, so I don't humiliate them. Sorry. Go ahead, Sydney.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say 2-1 as well. I think Atlanta will win. I think if they're gonna find somewhere to win the match. I mean, they have to, right? They have to win this match at home. I think backs against the wall, they normally wake up for whatever reason. They leave it late and they just play their best football late on in games. I feel like this will kind of be the same way. So I think they do win 2-1 against Montreal. I do think Joseph scores, but I think Atlanta eventually does come out on top of this one.
Sydney didn't do his homework. He just copied everything I did.
I was thinking 2-1 anyway. I was thinking 2-1 anyway.
I said Joseph was going to score too. You didn't. You could have been like, what's a Canadian name?
Laurent Courtois.
Felipe.
That's not Canadian.
French. It's French Canadian.
That's not Canadian.
Not Canadian at all.
Felipe Qua.
What?
Poutine scores a goal.
Felipe Trois.
Felipe Qua. French
Clearly
Canadian.
has at least one Spanish parent.
Yeah.
Oui.
Yeah, exactly.
What
you got,
Felipe
Tyler?
Cardinal somewhere.
Not Felipe Cardinals. Tyler, what's your
Qua.
prediction?
3-2 Atlanta. I really have no reason why I'm saying that. I want an entertaining game, and I want a game that Atlanta shows that they can fight. And I want them to win a game that's pretty much must win. But I don't think you're keeping Justin Martinez out of the back of the net once.
No.
And I don't think you keep him out of the back twice. But I think Atlanta and Montreal, the way that they play, I think Alexei Miranchuk, this actually favors him a lot because I think he can play through what Montreal tries to do with their like weird pseudo press thing that they do that they're not super effective at anyway. And I think Miranchuk's the guy to get around him. So, yeah, 3-2.
Fair.
I just hope it's fun.
I think it will be.
All right. Ty, tell everybody where they can find you at. What's going on?
So I'm the host of Columbus Crew Podcast at Wiseman Pod. It's the Wiseman Say Podcast. We cover all things local about Columbus soccer, going from the Crew to Crew 2 down to UPSL, NCAA, etc. You guys can catch us every Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever, over on a YouTube page. Or if you like to read stuff, you guys can find my work at massivereport.com. And just block Tommy from everything.
Ty loves me.
Yeah, and you can follow me on Twitter at FisherTyler__.
Sweet. How's Gerald doing?
Perfect.
He's doing all right. Had hit another rough patch with his car being repossessed, but still going through the motions. So he's doing all right from what I hear.
Okay. Good. Well, Ty, we appreciate you hanging out with us, man. And as usual,
definitely.
dude, you're welcome back anytime, man.
Thanks, Tom.
First time being on here, by the way.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on.
Which feels
definitely.
weird. I thought we had you on last year, but
Nah,
We were
That
on
was
there, so-
that was Blake.
we had you guys on.
yeah.
Yeah, we're on.
Mhm. Yeah, we had you guys, but
Stupid Aiden Morris.
hey, he's doing great at Burrow right now.
He's
Yeah,
gone.
so he's a burrow. He
Yeah, I don't have to
can't
hate him
hurt
anymore.
anymore.
Oh.
No, it's always a blast talking with you guys.
Yeah, for
Thanks
sure.
for coming
buddy.
on. Let's do it again.
Yeah, definitely.
Sooner than later, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool, man. Good stuff. We appreciate it. Sydney, I guess cue it up,
Thanks, Ty. Thanks
Thanks.
everybody for watching.
and we will holla at y'all very soon. Ty, this is the part where we just talk a bunch of crap while the credits roll.
We talk crap about Tommy.
Yeah,
Sure.
and
Put the video
vanilla.
back on. Let me show you how Ty catches hot dogs.
No,
I'm not doing
please no.
The music is not playing for whatever
How do you-
reason.
How do you
I hear
catch-
the music. Well, I heard
Oh,
it for a
I
minute.
heard it.
Oh, you
Yeah.
heard it? I can't hear it.
Oh.
Well, I don't hear it now.
You got
No,
hot
here we
dogs in
go.
your ears.
Now we just sound weird.
Now we're all vanilla.
Dude, this man is gonna go and
You
use
gotta keep using, yeah, exactly.
So glad we taught Ty something new.
See you guys.
Peace, y'all.